welcome to episode 2 of the ISU Redbirds podcast. 2, we've got 2 of them down. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the new coaches. And then our special guest is Kyle Cartmill. I'd also like to inform everybody that if you like to find us or learn more about us, right, we're on the web at www.isuredbirds.com, isuredbirdspodcast.com. We're on YouTube at the same ISU Redbirds podcast. And you can find our YouTube video. If you go out and watch the video, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe. And for podcasts, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. And if you do have a favorite podcast listener and we're not on there, just reach out to us and we will put that in there. All right, so we're getting started. We're starting off with episode 2, and I'm excited. So, John, take it away with coaches.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Ryan Pedon, our new head coach, and talk about a little bit of what the philosophy he's been laying out for our Illinois State Redbirds going into next season. So, some of the things that he was talking about during his first introduction presser was he got into, for his coaching philosophy, he says simplicity over complexity, and which is basically the keep it simple, stupid philosophy, the KISS. So I really like that idea that, we want to keep it simple and don't do complicated things. Just stay with whatever is simple. For his offensive philosophy, he says he wants to dominate games with effort and toughness, attack both with ball and player movement, have a great pace, value efficiency, impose ourselves physically on our opponents, and work inside out, side to side, and through the paint. Is there anything you'd like to say in addition to that, Steve?
Yeah, so when you start talking about inside out, I'm sure that's music to Pemberton's ears, right?
Made a living in that post.
Yeah, so the first thing I think about is having a big that not only can post up, do some screens and stuff like that, but a big that can receive the ball and then, pass it out efficiently to the teammates. And so when you start playing through that post, and you got a offensive weapon that can score and pass it out, especially when it's starting to get those double teams, your offense is much more effective. And I think the one thing we can kind of call it here is with that philosophy in Ohio State, they're in the top 25 in offensive efficiency the past 5 years. So that's pretty impressive. So that means when we talk about offensive efficiency, we're talking about how many points you would score in 100 possessions. So it's not necessarily how fast you play, but each possession, you don't have a turnover and you score, and that's the difference with efficiency.
Yeah, and we taking the ball into the post, I complain to you guys all the time when I don't see we come down and get just a quick 3. There's times in the transition that a wide open 3, you can't pass that up. But from my teachings, right, the ball went into the post, and we were always trying to kick that out so that guys were catching and stepping into the shot, right, body motion forward. I know players today have much better range than we did, right? Let's be honest, my freshman year, there wasn't even a 3-point line when I started at Illinois State, right? We had a 45-second shot clock. So very different game, slower paced.
But it's opened the whole middle up too, right, John?
It does for the drive, yeah. So in some respects, it makes the post less important, and in other respects, it makes it more important, right?
Right.
To have that post that can plug it up, and you got to do it single-handedly. I mean, from myself, I had Big Drod Coleman and Sonny Roberts and Big Scott Fowler, right? We just got done with episode 1, and Dan was loving Leroy and Rico Hill, right? Again, 2 of the best tandem bigs to play at ISU. You got Jackie, the karate expert, right, kicking guys in the face. I mean, you got to love that, Jackie, Carmichael. And even on that, team that he was talking about when we beat Wichita State in 16, I think it was, where he took the timeout against Greg Double G, as he referred to him. We had Mac, right? Mac Daddy going down through the post, and he plugged up that lane, and Hawkins could come in and provide some help. So I'll be excited to see what he brings in and how he goes at it.
Yeah, and the other thing when he starts talking about side to side, getting that defense to rotate, right? So, John, as defense, right? You rotate, and then the weak side starts coming down, right?
Yep.
But if you can rotate that ball back around to the other side efficiently, quickly, that's when you start to see people chase the ball and you get out of sorts. So, those are two things when he talked about, inside out, okay, which really improves your 3-point shooting percentage inside out, and then the side to side. Get that defense to start chasing and make them work. Yeah, make them focus
for the 24-second or 25-second shot clock. I always forget what it is today and age.
30 now.
30.
30. Thank you, guys. I was thinking of the NBA. Sorry, watching the NBA last night.
I like shooting at 25 so we don't go down to the last couple seconds. So 24.
Yeah, force something up stupid when we didn't get a good movement. But yeah, force that defense to focus for those full 30 seconds, right? And then hopefully you get a breakdown and get a nice clean open look, and that's what you want, right? Or you get a breakdown and you get a nice slash to the basket. How many times, in the Valley tournament, I don't turn to you guys and say, oh my God, that guy's cold. Just go to the rack and dunk it, right? Get to the free throw line. Because once you go cold, it becomes 99% mental. You've done this thousands of times in the last couple weeks, let alone your lifetime. You can make those shots, right? You just start to get in your own head. And so you get to the rack and you get a layup in, you get a dunk in, you get fouled, right? You get to see the ball go down and you get that confidence back, and then you're off to the races. So excellent work, John. We're going to want to jump in on we want to talk a little bit about the whole offense, one coach doing offense and one coach doing defense.
Yeah, I think at Ohio State, our new head coach was responsible for the offense, right? And I think he's bringing over a new philosophy. I mean, we had a little bit the last couple of years, right, with Brian Jones, but in general, it seems like, or appears to be, that one assistant coach is going to be responsible for the offense, another one's going to be responsible for the defense, and that's a little bit different. And maybe, John, you could tell him, like, a little bit contrast to, like, in your playing days when you had the three assistant coaches, what their roles were.
Yeah, and so and the way I played under, and probably the way Dan did, under Coach Stallings and Coach Richardson, and even probably into Porter Moser's time, right? Your three assistants were on the road. So, like, the first game we were getting ready for beginning of the year, your other two assistants might or might not be at practice because they're out scouting. Now, go back to my time. Right, the only way you were going to see tape was on stone tablets. Right, we had VHS players, we had Betamax. Right, so it was hard to get tape. And I learned that the year I broke my foot, my junior year, when we had I was the captain of that team. Also, that was our first losing season as a Division I program, and that was that 88-89 season. But I would tag along with coaches and go down to Eastern or Western and get VHS tapes of games against teams that they had already played that we were scheduled to play. We were always trading tapes, and if it needed to be quick. Otherwise, they were dropping them and mailing them to each other. But those coaches would be out, and then, when it came to the let's say we were playing Creighton, and Coach AJ, I had Mark Swart, I had Anthony Jones, and Parker Laquetta toward the end. Coach Smith recruited me, and he went on to become a State Farm agent, and Pat Cunningham. Those were the two that recruited me, but they would be gone. So it would be, we'll take AJ and Coach Swart and Coach Laquetta. I would have AJ doing Creighton, right, and then Swart would be at practice, and Laquetta would be gone because he'd be out scouting somebody, right? And then the next game, Coach Wart would be in charge, AJ would be gone, and Laquetta would kind of be the second chair, and Mark would be Coach Wart would be kind of calling and telling Coach Donowald, hey, this or that, right? Because he memorized all the players, right? And like Dan said, in episode 1, oh, this guy's got his handle on the strength. We were hearing that stuff all the time. Can't go left, can't go right. If you talk to him, he'll forget about what play he's running, right? So that's the way it is. And so that was a great time. All right. So,
I think technology, people don't have to travel, right? They got film.
100%.
But the philosophy didn't change. Where, the advanced scouting, well, you didn't have to get on the road. One coach would be responsible for one game, next coach for the next game. And that was true because, like, before the pregame shows, right, Jon Diener, like, we'd be driving up to ISU for a basketball game, and it was rotating. You could tell which coach would come on, okay, and had the advanced scouting report, and they were on the pregame show, talking about that. So that's where, philosophically, I think there's this big change, right? Technology is one thing, you have to get on the road, but the philosophical difference where you're going to have someone there that's in charge of the offense or the primary person, it's almost like football, like a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and then you're going to come together and put the game plan together. That's different, and that's interesting.
And you have a different game plan for every team you play, right? Depending on, do we got a box and win this guy, or we're going to do a triangle and two, or we straight up man, right? Under Bender, we win those other things. So, all right, great first segment for episode 2. Show and tell today is my very yellow, it's turning yellow, guys, but that is the shirt they handed us when we won the championship. And so you see all those players getting hats and shirts. We didn't get a hat, but we did get a shirt. So my mom and dad were in the stands. My wife, Robin, who was my girlfriend at the time, so I just tossed that over to them. And so that's what happened to that. So now we're going to go to a quick break while we pull in number 24, Kyle Cartmill. Hello and welcome back to ISU Redbirds Podcast, Episode 2. We are here with the man, the myth, the legend, Kyle Cartmill. He is the other half of the great shot, and what an awesome pass he made there against Tennessee. And today we are chatting with Kyle. Kyle, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How's everybody here?
Doing wonderful, man.
Awesome.
Ready. Doing running. So we're gonna get into this. We don't even waste, because fans really don't want to hear from us three knuckleheads. They want to hear from you. And so, where do you want to start, big man?
Well, it sounds like we're talking about our playing days. So, just kind of reminiscing about all the good times that we had as Redbirds and the brotherhood and camaraderie and the relationships that we still have to this day. Like I tell everybody, even though I played in a really traditional, rich high school in Quincy, and I played with a lot of my family members, I'm a lot closer to my college teammates than I am even to those teammates I had in college. And I grew up playing from grade school all the way up to high school with those guys. But the connection that you built at Illinois State, being that you do everything together, you go to other people's arenas and you're the only team that you can win. So against the world, the blood, sweat, and tears in practices, the beat downs, the pulling people along. It just really built a really strong bond between all of us.
It is. And it's even between generations, right? I can pick up the phone and talk to you, and we just start laughing about, whatever. My stories are almost the same as yours. And I called Gerard last night because he's going to be our guest for our 3rd episode. Nice. And that's my boy, right? Him and I are 2 posts in the middle. And so, yeah, it's great. So, okay, which game do you want to start off with?
I guess we can start my first college game. Actually, I had something. The first time I met you, was it at the CRC?
It was at CRC.
I thought.
Yep.
So
yep.
Basketball related. We first met at work.
Yep. I had played with you, and I don't think you remember. I played with you during the summers between 95 and 2000. and it talked. But I was an ex-player coming in, right? And so, you guys were, again, I had Leroy and Rico usually to deal with, right? And being 7 years out of playing shape, you know how that is, right? Playing shape comes and goes so darn quickly, right? And then to try to get back onto that court and play. So, but yeah, the first time you really start talking is when we met at State Farm. And so I came up and introduced myself to you, and you probably were looking at this big dude going, you play football at ISU, or did you?
Well, I knew you had to play ball, and once you introduced yourself, I mean, I'm a big history person and tradition, so coming from Quincy, where everybody that's played through Quincy, we are all tight. Like, back to the Douglases, before the Douglases. I mean, everybody played under Coach Hanks, and that was carried over to Illinois State. Like, all the guys that I've met that came in when Ace, Scott Taylor, used to come through. Like Vandergaard, Cagle would come through. I mean, even though I don't remember you playing with us, but
that memorable. Thank you.
Come
on, man.
So they were back earlier than I was. So
absolutely. And Todd Whitmer would have brought him back, right, to run with you. And so he would have been, what, 4 years older than you, or 5?
He's 5.
5. Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So that's a legend right there.
In Quincy, and at ISU, he is. He's on our list. We'll have him. Got to do one player at a time, right? And just started down the list and going. So, all right. So let's get you back on track. You want to talk about the first game with James Madison?
Yeah, first game with James Madison. So it was my first game where I actually took a flight to get to the game. First college game, we flew to Puerto Rico. So that's just amazing to begin with, that your first college game, you're on a nice tropical island while everybody's freezing back at home. But I remember the first game just realizing the pace of the game was just so much different. The guys were bigger, they were stronger, faster. I mean, just the intensity. I mean, everything was just so much different from being the guy in high school to like, I might not see the court.
Oh yeah.
While I'm here. I mean, this is real going to Division I basketball. Pretty close game. We ended up losing by 1 point in that game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 1 point.
1 point. But the one thing I remember is coming into the locker room after we lost, and we all came in, our heads were down, but we weren't really. Well, the seniors and people that were there before were kind of down. Me and Rico didn't know any better. We come in, and in Puerto Rico, they had a big bowl or like a big table of fruit and things to eat and snacks in. So Rico comes, grabs a banana and starts eating on it. So Coach Stallings walks in and sees Rico eating this banana. He starts to eat this banana, and he just rips into Rico. I'm going to clean this up, and he's like, Rico, stop feeding your face. This isn't a gravy train. And Rico is mid-bite to stop, and the whole time the coach is talking from that point, he has his banana just hanging out of his mouth, afraid to chew. So I remember that vividly, because it's like, oh wow, this is really different. And I think it might have been the first time, even though we've had practice, that Coach Stallings was really into that intense game.
Mm-hmm.
He just lost the game type mode. That's my first time seeing that side of him, and it was a lesson. Probably cool when he come back in, but kind of understanding, the intensity that he has and how serious and how competitive he is.
Yeah. Awesome. Next one. What do you want to go next?
The next big game I remember was Cincinnati, and that was the first time played on ESPN. And that game, at that time, I think Cincinnati was in some polls number 5 in the nation. So, number 5.
Wow.
Number 2. Number 2 in some of them. Really possibly trending towards number 1. But, I mean, they had a team of everybody looked like football players, with the exception of, I think, the guy's name was Damon Flint. But you had Danny Fordson, Art Long, Melvin Levitt was on that team. Keith Legree, their point guard, who was a little bit taller than me, but he was going 210.
Oh, wow.
And helping guard that dude, I mean, it was something there. But I remember that because one time, again, it was the first game on ESPN, and that game started at either 11 o'clock p.m. or midnight. And it was like a big pajama party is what they had. So I remember the cheerleaders were wearing pajamas and sometimes less than pajamas over there. But playing like a really high level Division I team for the first time and seeing what it takes to actually get to that level, actually feeling the strength of those guys, it was crazy. We started out really, really good too. I think Kenny Wright might have had a nice dunk or something to begin with, and we started pretty strong, and then it just got out of hand really quickly. I also remember Kenneth Pearson at the end of the game when it was scrub time, and I was part of scrub time at this part.
You're a freshman. Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, so I remember getting a steal coming down, and it was me and Kenneth Pearson on a 2-on-1 with Melvin Levitt. Now, I don't know if you remember Melvin Levitt, but the dude had pogo sticks for legs. He's probably about 6'3", but I was going to the basket, and I tossed it to Kenneth coming down the lane, and KP just took off from just inside the three-point line and put Melvin Levitt up in the basket. Amazing play. So that was kind of our highlight from it because there's nothing else really that was a highlight. Again, the scenery was really nice, but yeah, it was a really, really cool situation there. And again, my family getting a chance to see me play on TV for the first time. Even if it was a little bit, it was really cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
How do you prep for a game when it starts at 11 o'clock? I mean, you guys have like a routine, right? If the games are like 6, 7, does that just like mess you up or?
Yeah, it threw us off completely. So.
Well, that's why the score was like that. Otherwise, you guys would have won, right?
I'm not sure if there was a time change either. I can't remember.
Yeah, they're an hour ahead.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, it was different, but I mean, you just think that hey, a lot of times you don't think about it before you go to the game. You just go and play.
Yeah,
and that's what we tried to do, but it probably had a bigger factor than we like to think it did.
It's also like when you get the noon game on ESPN, right? That's a horrible game to play in also, right? Because the coaches are getting you up at like 6:30. Yeah. You're getting a little bit of food. They're getting you to a shoot-around at 7:30. You're a college kid. I could still be asleep at 7:30, right? And so if it's Monday through Friday and classes don't start to 8, I'm still asleep at 7:30. I'm still asleep at 7:45. Going to race to class, right? And so that was always a tough one yet too. All right. Awesome. Do you want to talk about that? Dan talked about that NIT game with Wisconsin. Let's hear your thoughts.
I mean, he kind of hit the nail on the head just going in that atmosphere and playing up there. I don't know. I guess at my age and knowing this Wisconsin is a Big Ten team, and I think it was the first Big Ten team that we played, not really knowing how it was going to go. Kind of nervous about it, and just playing in that atmosphere. It was loud, and that old barn was just goodness gracious. It was an electric atmosphere, but it looked like an old Big Ten arena. That's what it reminded me of. But I mean, the way that we played, the way we came out, I don't know what got into us that day, but we really brought it that game. And like Dan said, I remember that too, as far as talking about the contingency of Illinois State people there that were behind our bench that were just loud. I mean, I could remember just hearing them chant and singing the fight song and just, really, really being there and pushing us on. And as the lead kept growing and growing, they just kept getting louder and louder, and our confidence grew. And I mean, it was just one of the most fun times I think that we've had up to that point, was going into a Big Ten arena like that and taking on the big dogs and actually coming out with a win. I mean, that locker room was electric after that game. I mean, we were on cloud 9.
Yeah, awesome game, right? That was your sophomore year. So now you're
So Kyle, we got to ask you about you. That was a great.
Wait, was that freshman year, guys, or was that his sophomore year?
No, it was freshman year when we went to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, everybody. Sophomore. Okay. Or freshman. Yep.
Yeah,
Keep
his
going.
freshman year.
Yeah,
It
freshman.
was your freshman year.
Yeah, it was your freshman year. Yeah.
Yeah, because Mo was on our team, so yeah, it was our freshman year.
So that was a great team win, right? But
Oh yeah.
You got to tell us about that Wisconsin Green Bay game, though, right? We're not letting you get off this podcast without talking about that game.
Wow. I don't know if I ever told you about that one. Oh, sorry, what you about to say, John?
I told you they're true fans, right? So they're the ones who reminded me of the game. I had totally forgotten. And then we started looking it up. So let's hear it, big man. Let's go.
Man, the Wisconsin Green Bay game. First of all, I didn't realize that there was nothing in Green Bay. Like, there's
But what are you talking? There's the Packers. They're in Green Bay.
Steve's a Packers fan. He can,
Like you said, there's
Yeah.
nothing in Green Bay.
We go up to the arena. I thought it was like the storage room for the people that work the parking lot. It looked like there was nothing up there. But
And back then, you're at Brown County Arena, right? Right across from Lambeau Field.
yep, that's exactly where we're at.
Yep.
Yeah. So we played that game. We didn't start out very hot at all. I mean, it was not the best start that we had. And I think it was around December 20th, 21st, something like that. It was right before Christmas. So we go into the locker room, and Coach Stallings is hot. I mean, we say hot as fish grease. He comes in there and says, if you bleepity bleeps don't compete and win this, none of you are going home for Christmas. You can forget seeing your families. Practice. And I can't remember at halftime seeing so many watery eyes at that time. To see their families until the end of the basketball season. So we come out in the second half and we play a lot better. So it's not great, but we're starting to chip away. We're getting better and getting better. So the end of the game comes, and I think I can't remember if we were down at that time, but it was getting close to the end of the game. And I remember the waning seconds of the game, catching the ball in the corner behind the 3-point line, and I'm like, there's no way in the world I'm missing this shot. I haven't seen my mom. So as soon as I got it, I just rose up and let that thing loose. And I mean, anything from the corner, top of the key, or the free throw line, I feel like that's my sweet spot. I don't feel like I'm going to miss from any of those areas. And that was one of those situations where I caught it there and nothing but net. We ended up winning that game based off of that shot, then to being the game-winning shot. And once we got into the locker room, it was the biggest celebration. I got the most. Joe Hine, I remember him coming to me, crying, thanking me. I mean, people got to the airport and just immediately went home. Everybody went their separate directions. But yeah, I remember that just one of those times where we actually had a game-winning shot that kind of sticks out in your mind because of the fact that what was at stake. And how everybody
Christmas,
yeah. I mean,
Christmas.
There was no other time we were going to go home after that.
No.
So, and I was one that kind of got homesick because I'm a big mama's boy. So, yeah, that was a real solid, big memory for me, was making that shot.
It was a great shot. All right, we're rolling on. We're going to hit next one, Iowa State. Now, you told us, as we were doing a little prep here, that you thought you guys got blown out, and then now you went back and rewatched it on the website, on the YouTube channel that we have.
Yeah.
And take us through that. What were you thinking? Especially when you're watching it now.
There's a couple things that stuck out. I was like, we actually played a pretty good game compared to what I thought, because I really thought that we were just, like, Kelvin Cato was just handing it to us left and right, which he was. But, but we were in it. I only took one shot that game. It was a 3-pointer, but I actually hit it. So I was excited about that. I got a block shot, a couple rebounds. I mean, we really competed in that game, but Cato was just a little bit too much at that time. just a monster on the boards. I don't know how many dunks he had in that game. And I think I told y'all in the pre-show that, that game, from all accounts of what I've heard, literally put him in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a triple-double in that game. Another thing that I realized, I saw it and I didn't remember, but kind of thanks to the video, I made one of the dumbest fouls in the history. Where apparently Coach Stallings went in and said, "Hey, don't foul Dedrick Willoughby." All the people that I decided to foul, who I foul? I foul Willoughby.
Was that the pregame scouting not to foul him?
Oh yeah, he's like probably one of the best free throw shooters in the nation at that time.
In the nation at the time, yeah.
So yeah, and even when we had the timeout beforehand, it was just a reminder: hey, don't foul number 22. What do I do? Go foul. So there's a couple of times where I've had some bonehead plays during my career, and I was like, "Yep, I'll never play again."
Yeah.
Duquesne was one of them too. We played Duquesne twice. We could never beat them, and I had one play at Duquesne where we played at Duquesne where as soon as that play happened and I got in the game, I never saw the court again. It was like the most ridiculous thing ever. It was a pass along the baseline, kind of similar to the one NCAA tournament that I lost. But Jamar threw it to me, and he said, Jamar always told me that I looked at the ball like the ball grew eyes and teeth, and I literally smacked it away from me out of bounds and ran from it. So,
Jay Smiley said that to you?
I was like, boy, I don't know what happened to you, but that look in your eyes when that ball came at you, you looked like the ball grew eyes and teeth, and you literally just smacked it away with two hands out of bounds. This is an open court. So, yeah, I never saw the rest of the court the rest of that game.
All right, so we're going to take a break here, and we're going to cue up the video for the last couple minutes of the Tennessee game so we can review that with Kyle. So, Mr. Engineer, take us to break. Take it away.
All right, so we got the free throw here. Did it pause on me? Sorry, it's a little choppy. So
Yeah, it will be choppy.
Yeah, so
it will look better in post.
So this is us in our zone, and I'll have to disagree with Dan. The reason we're probably mostly in the zone is because I was on the floor. Dan said because of foul trouble. No, Coach Starr was in the zone whenever I was on the floor because he knew in Quincy we played zone, and I was a horrible man-to-man defender until my senior year. So that's why we're.
I would call BS, but if you want to tell the joke, we're laughing. It's good.
So got a lot of play. There's that penetration there, and I just completely missed right there on my assignment, and that put back there. So,
Yeah, that was their big guy.
yeah,
We missed a couple of cues on.
Tragic Johnson. Nice.
There was Big Leroy. Now,
So Leroy kind of had the nickname, we kind of used to call him Tragic Johnson sometimes, because he really wanted to be a point guard. I'm telling you. He's not a bad ball handler, and he can handle it and get to the basket. And I mean, most of the time he's going out lane, nobody wants a part of that, as you can see, part of like the Red Sea. But big time move, big clutch move. We needed that basket at that time. Big lead just coming through.
Now, did you hear our theory? Did you watch the Dan episode? Did you hear our theory?
We played
That
defense, man. Come on. Mess that up.
Come, I got to defend my bigs, man. I'm a big. Us post guys, we protect you little guys, man. That's just the way it works, right?
Y'all give us confidence. I mean, the swagger comes from inside. So if you guys are handling the business, we can be confident and we have our swagger too. Appreciate you.
Well played. Well played. All right, here we go. Hit play again. All right, 31 seconds to go.
So I I really wish we would have got this stop.
And really, you watch Leroy's. That's a charge, right?
It was. They just didn't call it. But during that time of the game, they're not going to usually call that. I mean, it's really iffy. It should have been, but the referees are going to be like, I don't want the game to be decided based off of my whistle. So I understand.
I 100% agree with you. I'd much rather them not call that and keep their whistles in the pocket and let you guys make the play at the end, right? So.
And that was probably one of the least physical plays of that game. I mean, this game was physical.
Did you see the shot right there of the young Kyle Cartmill right there? I'll make sure I highlight on that. Did you look how young you look, dude? Right there.
It still had a little bit. Still had hair in the line. Still in shape. I mean, I had a 2 or maybe a 4-pack at that time. Who knows?
All right, so Steve's got the ball.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the ball's going to Rico, and that's what we're trying to do. We're going to get the ball to Rico, and once Rico gets the ball, it's kind of like, all right, we know he's shooting. Now, on my side over there, there is no way in the world I would have seen Dan, and as you can see, Rico's thinking shot, because Rico was just like, hey, I'm going to put the ball in my hands, and I'm going to take this over. Looking back now, after the way that you put that nice little triangle there, probably would have been easier to get to Dan earlier, and probably I kind of know Dan's always going to find his way find the right spot to be and make the right play. So, and this play when Rico was driving, I was actually coming to the ball because I saw he's about to get trapped. But then as he drove my way, I was trying to change directions quickly and didn't do it fast enough. And next thing I know, I looked up, the ball was in my hand. So once the ball goes in my hand, I'm on attack mode. The first thing I'm thinking is attack the basket. As I'm heading to the basket, I see one of the big guys come over and actually head my direction, and lo and behold, Dan's still open. So it was pretty easy to make that pass because Dan would just put himself in the right position, and he kind of shielded himself off from Brandon Wharton coming down to where he would be too late to get to the play. He would just go by him, and it would just be an easy layup. So, I mean, Dan doing what Dan does.
And we had a little debate about this in our pre-recording for the little 10-minute segment before. Don't you think there's a little bit of a benefit, the fact that you guys played 4 years together, right? Knowing what each other's strengths and weaknesses are, right? Just like you said, you were able to pick up quickly that Rico was coming towards you. You start to back off to give him space, right? And then, again, and we also said, I believe, Kyle, your game would translate into the modern game very nicely because of your ability to hit the three, and you're such a good slasher and free throw shooter, right? Your ability to get to the basket. Other people like me, my game would not have translated, right? I'm a double post kind of guy, and they just don't do double posts. So you taking the ball to the rack, that was awesome. All right, I wanted to show one other piece to this that I always find awesome, so I'm going to look up. My wife always gets mad when I do this. And again, the testament to you guys, seeing you guys go down the court after the basket, because there's no timeouts, right? In today's day and age, we were talking about how many timeouts there would have been. There would have been a TV timeout. There would have been an out of bounds. There would have been a clock timeout. Coaches have such the time to prepare, which really makes me frustrated with current day players when they can't figure out 9 seconds later what they need to do, right? Here, you guys, 15 seconds, you bring the ball in, get it to Rico. Rico gets it to you. You get it to Dan, and immediately you guys are thinking, what's next, right? And so as you see this, you can see you guys all running down the court.
Yeah, the first thing we're going to do is look up at the clock because we've been trained to do that. And it's kind of funny as you show the guys actually when they all had their head turned to the left or actually to their right, looking for the ball, and then when the ball turns, their head simultaneously turns the same direction. That's just how we were trained, and that's just playing together and knowing kind of.
And you're just over on the. If you look at this, you're just over on the screen to the right of this situation. And I'll clean this up in post. because you're the one, I can see you, right, you're over here making that pass over on that right side, just left of Rico and Leroy. And so you can see you take off too, but they all focus on these guys here in the middle. It's just a different angle because, in the NCAA you have so many more cameras, right? And so...
yeah, so I saw them go there, and my thing was, okay, somebody's got to get to the basket. So I shot down to the basket, knowing I was the fastest player on the team. I figured I can get to the basket just in case someone came down there. And luckily, Dan contested the shot. They missed it. And I caught that last rebound and threw it into somebody's drum in the so, but yeah, I mean, that's just the way we're trained. Coach, we did a lot of time management drills. We knew it if it was 10 seconds or before, we're going, or if it's 10 seconds after, we may call a timeout. We just these are just things we've been trained in, and things that have been drilled in our head. Coach always wanted to put us in the best position to be successful, and in those situations, especially if it's like a little bit more than 10 seconds, it's best for us to just bring it up the court before the defense gets a chance to set, and then we go at it. If we needed some more time, or if it's less time, we're going to go ahead and set something up to make sure we're being very strategic about what we're going to do with the ball. And then when you get Coach Stallings into a huddle, I mean, he is an X and O genius. And even though we didn't practice a lot of stuff that he drew up, the thing with it, we didn't practice it, we would actually practice making sure that we translate what he's putting on the board into the spots that we're supposed to be on the court, and making sure that we're doing that to a T. Because if he draws it up and we're where we're supposed to be, I mean, it's going to work. And in most occasions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much. This has been awesome. This is our second episode of ISU Redbirds podcast. I'm hoping you'll spread the word to your other teammates because we'll be looking for more guys that have this. Anytime you want to come back, my number, right? Hit me through work or hit me up on a text or call me. Love to have you back. This was awesome. And this is a wrap for episode 2. That's your cue, Mr. Engineer.